Some UFC and boxing news.
On the Esky final round.
Yeah. So I think we kind of talked about last week about Volkanovski having to be pulled out of his fight because he had COVID. So a bit of an update since then. He had the full-blown COVID, essentially. He had the worst of it. He ended up getting COVID-19 pneumonia, so he ended up in hospital pneumonia. He was coughing up blood and those sorts of things, so he ended up spending 3 days in hospital. And you got to remember, this is a bloke that just came off like an 8-week fight camp.
Yep.
Had cut all the weight. He was in probably peak condition for himself, getting ready for a fight. And, yeah, he's found himself in hospital, really struggling with it. And, he came out during the week as well and said, I can understand how people can die from this and really struggle with it because it is serious. And so it is crazy, like to see a peak MMA fighter, the champion of his division, having to deal with it and struggling with it is kind of just puts it in perspective for how deadly and dangerous the Rona is out there.
Yeah, well, it can get anyone, and there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason about it.
Yeah,
and,
I'm not sure if it came out how he got it, but a bunch of his team members got it as well in their quarantine in the States. But
Cody Garbrandt went on Joe Rogan and spoke about how it knocked him for fucking 6. Like he was no good for 3-4 months. And, and then there's guys that have it and they don't even know. Like it's a very, very strange illness.
Which is going to be a problem for Volk is as well. Like if they want to run it, they got to reset that fight with Ortega, and they want to run that back sooner probably rather than later. It's just whether he needs to get home, he needs to get in the gym and see like where am I at, like how am I feeling. He said he's felt good, but it might take him a while to get back into the peak physical condition you want to take an absolute killer in Ortega as well. So
and as fight fans and as Aussie fight fans, you're definitely rooting for him. So hopefully he can get on top of it and get back into that killer form that he was in before this.
So following on from that, UFC 262 gets an extra fight. UFC 261's coming up in 3 weeks, and we'll cover that when it gets a bit closer with 3 title fights. But this one gets Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards.
5 rounds.
5 rounds.
Non-title.
Non-title fight. A bit unusual, but it's also...
So unusual.
I think for Nate Diaz, it's also... he's let's go name. Like he's a bigger name.
Massive name.
It's a bigger fight. That regards like he's gonna. I think it's a co-main in this. To kind of build up that card as well and build him up again. Coming off, I don't think he fought once. He fought Masvidal after he finished up with the trilogy with Connor.
Yep.
I don't think he's fought since then, so it's his first fight back. It's at the welterweight division. Edwards, of course, coming off that disqualification. He got disqualified for... actually, I think it was a no contest. The eye poke. He's a component. Muhammad couldn't compete, so that's where that finished up. But he's probably 2 or 3. So it's Usman, Masvidal, Kobe Covington, and Leon Edwards as, let's say, 4 in the welterweight division at the moment.
Do you think is he parity with those guys or not?
Well,
surely he's a step behind.
Well, he's on a 9-fight win streak, I think, before leading up to it. He had the 3-piece in the soda. He was the recipient of that from Masvidal. There's a bit of history between the two of them in that regards. Masvidal during the week, because he's got Usman coming up on 261, threw out some names like Covington, that's a small fight. Edwards, who the fuck's that? Like, no one knows who he is outside the hardcore fans. So he'd be like, Nate Diaz makes way more sense for me.
Big name.
It's a big name. So he, of course, has got Usman coming up, so you've got to get through him first before he even considers that. But interesting fight, this one. I don't like Nate Diaz's chances. Edwards is a great wrestler, and I think he may
been out of the game a little bit, and he'd be old as fuck now, wouldn't he? Like, I can have a look at that.
Oh, he's not super old. He'd be in his 30s. Or obviously started...
30s can be old.
Yeah, before a fighter, maybe not.
35.
35, yeah. But other interesting thing for the UFC 262, it's in May the 15th, Toyota Center in Houston. They're saying full capacity crowd. Do you have a birthday? Maybe that'll work it out.
Well, according to Wikipedia, it's April 1685, which puts him at 36. And then on the UFC website, he's 34. He's mid-30s. He's getting on.
Leon Edwards is ranked number 3.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's there. And I think it's is it Masvidal, Kobe,
it's Colby Covington,
Colby. There's an
Colby.
L
Colby.
in there.
Gilbert, then Leon, then
Gilbert Burns. Yeah, that makes sense.
then Masvidal.
Yeah, Gilbert of course just losing to Usman. So Charles Oliveira and Michael Channon, which was also previously announced, is the lightweight title fight, which I think is the main for that fight card.
Yep.
So it's stacking up to being a nice card. So UFC 261, 262, both looking pretty nice for pay-per-views.
Incoming. Bit of boxing?
Yeah, let's go boxing. Let's go. We've covered Tim Tszyu a little bit earlier about with the NRL boys getting in trouble for being there. Of course, he wins this
is
against, is it Dennis? Dennis Hogan?
Yep, Dennis Hogan.
The Irishman. It was a TKO in the 5th round. Tim got cut in the second just above his eye, but it didn't really hamper him too much. But Hogan's corner ended up throwing the towel in this. Tszyu absolutely tore his body up, was landing body shots. He had a knockdown in the 5th round, which was, after all those body shots with a nice uppercut. But in the end, the corner saved Hogan in this, let's put it that way. I think one of his corner men was one of the guys that cornered Joe Horn. John, why did I do John Horn again? It's Jeff Horn.
A lot of horns.
Yes, Jeff Horn. Who,
nothing meant by that.
Yeah,
strap down.
Yeah, who they probably should have called that fight a bit earlier because he was getting beat up by Tim as well. But in this case, his corner saved him for another day where they can go protect him and he can come back and hopefully win another fight. But it looks like Tim should now very much be in line for title fight.
Yeah, how good.
Because Hogan, I think it was 2 fights removed from a loss of his title fight. Tim should probably get a nice contender in that regards. In that, I think he's super welterweight division.
McGregor Poirier.
Official.
Yeah,
so they've announced it. I think it's going to be July that's going to happen. So it's going to be the trilogy. McGregor, of course, is all over the socials saying he's a different animal, different beast. He's going to come after Poirier, wants him to come out to the middle of the ring, just stand with me, let's go. Let's see what you got. We'll see how it goes. See if he's improved.
I alluded to it 2 weeks ago. I'm going to be rooting for Dustin in this. Yeah, McGregor's irking me a little bit at the moment.
Well,
No way.
check the tape. I'm pretty sure I said Dustin would win the last fight. So be interesting to see what improvements McGregor's made if he's learnt about checking the calf kicks.
He'll knock him out. That's why they do today, so he can finish champ.
That's
He'll knock him
big.
out.
That's big.
But Dustin's up there. Like Dustin will probably after this he'll probably get whoever wins the Oliveira Chandler fight. Honestly, because I think Ferguson's been booked against someone else. And they're like 4 and 5. So Dustin will be I think he'll be the number 1 contender. And at this point, I'll say you get past McGregor. Give me a couple of months and I'll do a bit more analysis.
Yeah, we'll get to it when it comes up. So there's a little bit of
business news, and we'll just cover this quickly.
Yeah.
UFC, of course, was bought by Endeavour 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Fucked if I know.
Yeah, I think they were technically the WWE as well as their name, not the wrestling competition. But
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. WrestleMania's this weekend.
Yes,
Headline
there
is
is that.
Roman Reigns. So
WrestleMania is coming up. Yeah. It's still entertaining.
It is entertaining.
Yeah, WrestleMania on the weekend. But Endeavour now to get the original deal, which is billions of dollars,
Back in 2016.
2016, so 5 years ago, $4 billion something dollars from memory.
4 trillion, billion, squillion.
But anyway, to get that done, they had a bunch of minor owners in that to help buy that out. So they've now bought out all the minor owners. They now own 100% of the UFC, and they're an entertainment brand, but they're also planning. They've got a bunch of other stuff as well, but UFC is probably their premier one. But they're planning to do an IPO, which means they're going to list themselves on the stock market, so you could buy stocks in the company. Yeah. So to have complete ownership of UFC is a nice little tick in their feather because it makes money. It's not going broke at this point, so it's got a big deal with ESPN. Which kind of leads me into the next point was the Reebok deal, which wasn't really loved by fighters because it took away all their sponsorships. That deal has ended. They now got the deal with Venom, which is a long-time fighters kit or apparel company. Good thing for the fighters, slight pay increase. I think it's a couple of grand depending on. It works out by how many fights you've had. If you're a debutant, you get fuck all. If you're a champion, it's like 42 grand from 40.
So there's going to be the same dramas that they can't have their own sponsors.
Yeah, exactly. UFC's trying to, I don't want to say marketing it like, they're trying to compete with the other US major sports. They're trying to go we're premier major sport where you have official jersey apparel, no sponsorship unless it's a selected sponsorship. So, yeah.
Sorry.
A guy that could be in the lightweight division in the UFC, maybe Boomer Harmer. Yeah.
With those Warwick Farms.
Oh, my goodness.
Sexy.
Hey.
Sorry, listeners at home. So,
Was that your
WrestleMania.
first time seeing that? Boomer.
That view, that's fucking good. He's got pipesies.
veiny.
Pipesies.
Boomer.
So, Roman Reigns in the heavyweight championship.
Who's he versus?
I can't remember. I know, but it's Drew McIntyre and the other one. I don't know. We're not going
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania. At Tampa, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raymond James Stadium. Someone shut me up, please. Cut this one.
Let's move into some